the world is constantly pulling at us, our time, our attention.
We're in this age of overstimulation, over-information, oversharing.
What are the signs of misalignment?
The easier question to answer is, how do I know when I am in alignment? It's this having this intention of, what are we going to start doing? Having some good habits, even being productive for things that don't serve your purpose. You're being productive and you feel good about that, but you don't feel great about it because the alignment's not there.
If you're functioning toward your purpose, then you're in alignment with your true self.
It's not something you find. We have to remember, like, alignment is within us.
Hi, it's Dr. Ron and Dr. Mary coming at you. Today we're going to be just talking about living an aligned life in a world that tends to pull you off center, because I think that right now in today's world, it just feels like the world is constantly pulling at us, our time, our attention, our energy, you know?
And it's not even just about staying busy, it's about staying connected to our people, the things we love, but mostly to ourselves.
Absolutely, and I think ourselves is the most, and the conversation, that we're going to have is about alignment, how to live from the inside out in a world that's constantly, pulling us or trying to pull us off center. So I think that's what we're going to we'll be talking about, and it's almost like, how does modern life create this overload, right?
Well, I mean, that's no secret that we're in this age of overstimulation, over information, oversharing. There's just a lot coming at us. And it's just a matter of, how do we stay in alignment? That's what we're gonna be talking about. And today especially, I think that, this is the time to have this conversation.
Yeah, when you think about it, what are people's routines? So even yourself, just what's your routine? When you wake up in the morning, you jump out of bed right away, or you have your phone in your hand the minute you wake up? I know sometimes I do that, right? I'll check and see where my kids are at, and I can check on them through their reels on Instagram and whatever else it might be. And then I can just find myself just scrolling, right? Just kind of, what'd you call that?
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, right? Before you know it, if I'm up at 6 o'clock, there's times where it could be 8 o'clock, and I could be using, and I'm not saying it's not productive, I'm not saying to not do that, but it's certainly, I had other things I wanted to do, and and it's kind of like, it's so easy to be pulled off like that, and that's what I'm talking about, like how do you get your time taken like that, right?
So I've got the answer.
Okay.
Intentionality. It's setting the intention, because we both get caught up in the doom scrolling. We both get caught up in finding out where our kids are and stuff like that. It's this having this intention of, what are we going to start doing? Having some habits, some good habits, and just setting the intention of what time we're going to wake up, what are we going to do, what are some good habits that we can do that, but then being committed to it and sticking to it and not getting sucked back into that crazy loop.
The cycle.
That hurts your brain after a while.
Absolutely.
So.
And it truly takes us to the outside, but I think there's something that should be defined a little bit, and it's going to be a hard definition because everyone can find their own, but being busy and being aligned, there's people who are busy but they're not necessarily aligned, and busy versus an aligned life is like something I think that's so important to be able to each person to define for themselves. In the business world, I talk to people and they'll go, oh man, I'm just so busy, I'm busy. And I'm thinking like, that doesn't impress me. I don't care how busy you are.
Right.
I care how productive you are, right? And are you aligned? And I think that's something to look at when people say that. Like, sometimes we get caught in that busyness and not in that piece of us of being true to ourselves, of what's my intention, like you said, and what do I want to get done?
Well, and we had this conversation recently about, it's also not about, I'd love a life where I just do everything I want to do and say no to anything that doesn't serve me. But then we would have no clean clothes and we'd have no food, because I don't like cooking and I don't like doing laundry. And yet there are just things that need to be done in our day-to-day life, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of doing what you need to get done as well. We have to pay bills and things like that. So it's getting those things done, but in those other avenues, it's just like saying yes to the things that serve you, the things that you're aligned with. you know, for us, we talk about our purpose. It's like, does that serve our purpose?
Right.
And if it doesn't, like, why are we putting that energy into it?
Right.
Right? So
Right.
we pivot constantly of saying, like, we might get on something that's exciting and then go, does this serve our purpose? And it's like, not really, it doesn't. We could be doing other things that serve our purpose better.
Right, and that comes back to what you had said at the beginning, intentionality. You know, if you know what you want to do, or at least what your purpose is, and we can get into that in another conversation, but if you know what your purpose is, and with what you do aligns toward towards your purpose, or multiple, whatever that might be, then you could be living and functioning in intentionality, right? You're very intentional on what you're doing. It doesn't mean that you're a robot. You have to, I mean, you can still just, you know, what the hell, and have a great time and do it. But it's also knowing that, you know, if you're functioning toward your purpose, then you're in alignment with your true self. And I think that's the key thing. You know, I mean, I think one of the things that happen is people kind of find themselves not happy because what they're doing is not aligning with who they are, or what they, you know, what their goal is in life, their objective is in life, right? And the people who have no objective in life, where they go, I don't know what that is, well, then they're just, you know, it's kind of like if you don't have a plan, if you don't have, you're going to always, you know, whatever the roadmap, you'll end up wherever you end up, and
nowhere.
Nowhere, exactly. Or, you know, so it's that kind of a thing, and being intentional, and not necessarily thinking that busy is the right way to be, right? But more, is it in alignment? And it's okay to be busy. I've been very, very busy. We've been busy in our lives, but we don't run from busyness, you know, right? It's trying to run from alignment. Right.
Right. And even just the word you use, productive, even like, you know, I try not to use that word that much anymore too, because even being productive for things that don't serve your purpose, you're being productive and you feel good about that, but you don't feel great about it because the alignment's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So then the question is, like, how do you know, what are the signs, like the emotional, the physical signs of misalignment? You know, if that, you know, like, for yourself, Mary, how do you know, emotionally when you're not in alignment?
I mean, that question is, the easier question to answer is, how do I know when I am in alignment? Is I'm happier, I'm more fulfilled, I have more energy, going for a walk is more exciting because I'm in alignment. It's harder for me to answer that question of, like, what does it look like when I'm physically out of alignment?
Or emotionally. Let's stay with emotional right now.
Yeah, more tired, less energy. The wheels are spinning more because I'm trying to get back on the alignment track, so to speak. So I'm like working of, like, I know I'm not on it. So I'm constantly thinking of, how do I get back to it? And I'll grind for a little bit until I realize, just start with small steps. Yeah. I mean, for me, sometimes it's just, let's go for a walk. If we've been traveling and we've kind of gotten out of our sync about something, it's like, start with the smaller steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And I know for me, when I'm emotionally misaligned, I'm more irritable. I'll watch movies more, and just, and it's okay to watch movies, but I'll spend more time on the couch. Right. I'll spend more time not working with my time. In other words, not kind of having my time aligned up so that I know what I'm going to be doing, right? Yeah. And and I just, I don't veg out, but I certainly kind of detach. And that's my emotional misalignment, and then physically, there's physical signs too. I know I don't go and exercise. I don't do the things that are right. I mean, come on, how many times have you caught yourselves? I'll just speak for me. I caught myself, where I'm eating really good, and the next thing you know, I go to the refrigerator, open it up, and there's a piece of apple pie, which there is right now, and just start eating it, even though I told myself I'm not having anything until the weekend. I just go against the grain of what I'm doing. And really what happens for me is that my educated mind, the mind in me that's kind of the controlling mind, takes over, and that inner voice, the innate mind, is kind of overcome. And I call it the beast. My beast comes out, and I just do what I want to do because it's what I want to do. But the truth is, afterwards, I don't feel good about it. And that's how I know that I'm misaligned. And and I think that there's a cost, of staying out of alignment. right?
Yeah.
There's a huge cost. And I think that's something that for me, at least, the cost of staying on alignment is productivity. And I'm not talking about producing to produce. I'm talking about, creating my purpose and doing what I want to, what I want to do to move forward, getting my message out, getting our message out. It's like being in quicksand. I don't know how you feel about it.
Well, and for the cost for me, I think, is when I'm out of alignment, is I'm less present. Because when I want to be present, I can't be, because again, my brain it knows I'm out of alignment and it's working. It's saying, what do I need to do? So when I'm not being present with you or the kids or the grandkids or the person in front of me, it's because it's like something feels off. And just the way my brain works is, my personality is like, I need to get on, like back on, so that I can like be Mary again, be full Mary instead of half Mary. So I just know, because me, my wheels spin on something. So so that's what it costs me, is like my presence. But kind of talking, to what you said before too, is like going to the gym. Like our purpose has to do with health,
right,
and really reaching people, but on a health level. We've both been guilty of slacking on the gym. Right now we're on a good conjecture right now, because we're getting to the gym. We haven't had a day where we're like,
but it's not about getting
to
the gym. It's about the purpose behind
it. Is. And that's what I tell myself.
Yeah.
Of course, some mornings I don't feel like going, right? Yeah. And things are hurting, or I'm tired, or there's all the excuses. But in the back of my head, I just tell myself, like, what is this serving?
Yeah.
And this is serving so many things, because it's, besides my own health, it's just giving me the energy, and it's just setting me back on my purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that feels good to me. Going to the gym doesn't really feel great to me. I get really bored at the gym.
So then the cost, because I was talking about the cost of staying out of alignment, is really not feeling good about yourself.
And not feeling present.
Not present. And that's not feeling good about yourself.
Yeah.
And all it could be part of that. I shouldn't say it is. And there's all these things that happen when we kind of go into a down cycle. And it's just because we're just not in alignment, and the more in alignment we get, the more we flow with the river instead of against the river, the more, we flow smoothly instead of hitting all the rocks and bumps along the way, that kind of stuff. And
well, what's helped me though is having a person, which is you, being accountable. Is, again, not only just the gym, but like keeping each other accountable about things, right? Like I know what I need to do to be realigned. You know what you need to do, right? But it's also, I think if I lived by myself, and not having that accountability would be a lot harder.
Yeah, but I think accountability, on the other hand, I think it's a negative, I've never liked the idea of I want an accountability partner, because it's really more of a reliant thing. It's an outside thing instead of inside,
But sometimes you need that in the beginning of just like, until it clicks in.
I get it. But what you just talked about, the way we operate, I don't sit there and go, okay, we're getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going here at 8:30. We don't do that.
No.
You just know, I just said, hey, we'll go, you say we're going to the gym tomorrow morning. So it's just that you feel accountable because that's maybe what you stated, but we don't like hold ourselves.
No, not at all.
And when I see that, a lot of times I see that so outside in, because it's like, I've got to perform for this person, right? But if it was just me alone, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Right. And therefore it's like, then don't do it,
Right.
Like what is it that's causing you not to do it?
Right.
And then we start kind of peeling the onion back, right? But I think there's practical ways to align, to get back into alignment. And, and that's, for me, like the biggest thing is just get a schedule down. You know, I used to tell the docs I used to coach and tell the students that I taught, it's like, set up your downtime. If you're working 8 to 5 on Monday through Friday, I'm making that up, if that's what you're working, I know what you're doing during your uptime, right? You got your plan, you're doing your thing, whatever it is at work. But when you're not working, everyone kind of says, what, I need more hours in a day. If only I had 48 hours. If you had 48 hours in a day, you still wouldn't get stuff done. I mean, let's face it, shit piles up. And the reason it does is because we either try to get too much done or we don't have the time to actually do it. When I say that, I mean, we don't allot our time, right? So schedule your downtime. It's like, what do you do? If you know you're working, then what are you going to do from 5 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night? Like, can you be disciplined enough to say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to go to the gym in the morning time, and these are the times I'm going to do it. And what time are you going to go to bed at night? And be strong on that, so you get to bed at night instead of watching Netflix until 1 in the morning or 2 in the morning, and which we're guilty of. But be just, to be able to just, schedule that time out during the week, but also just have a slough off time, an F off time, where I can do whatever I want to do, and that's what you should do. If I want to curl up on the couch, and put on whatever, Days of Our Lives or whatever, I don't even know if that's still on, but put on some kind of soap opera, that doesn't matter. It's not about always being on, it's about just making sure that you're living from your intention and from the inside out.
Right.
That's my feeling on it, at least, But I do think there's some takeaways, and the takeaways are that one is to be able to see yourself, like you had said at the beginning. Can you actually find yourself or see yourself being out of alignment? Because that's a huge step.
Yeah.
And when you can, don't get down on yourself. It's like, that's, it's not a negative,
right.
It's an awareness, right?
Yeah. I think what you're saying is, when you feel yourself going out of alignment, that's probably the best time is to take action, right? Like, again, and it shows up differently for each person. Like I said, for me, I don't feel as present.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think the takeaway is, when you feel like the alignment is slipping, is like take action, then find out the simple steps you can do and take, and just to kind of get back on track and not just keep going, because that's what, we see that with what we talked about with doom scrolling, of just like getting into this, it's addictive, getting into this pattern of bad habits, right? That fulfill you on some level, right? I mean, we know what the cell phone does to people. So it's taking notice of, like, you're getting out of alignment, and having that buzzer go off in your head that says, okay, it's time to make a change.
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely, and set a program up, and set something up for yourself when you're for your downtime, so to speak. If you have uptime, during the week where you're working a steady job or whatever you may be doing, then set the time up afterwards, and get agreement. Get agreement from the people who you live with, or your family, whoever it is, that this is my time. I mean, part of it is also just being selfish, and I really mean that in a very good way. Like, take that hour that you need for the day and be able to have that time that you can just be with yourself, or maybe it's with one of your kids, or maybe it's with 4 of your kids. I don't know, but whatever it is for you, to make sure that you're selfish to make that happen. And that's what I'm talking about with selfish, right? That you're taking care of yourself in the process. So, I think that those are, but being able to find it first is the most important. So.
Well, and I was just going to say, with alignment too, is it's not something you find. We have to remember, like, alignment is within us. It's an innate response, right, of being in alignment. So maybe that helps to just think, like, you're not searching for it. Somebody can't say, I can't find alignment. No. You return to that.
Yeah.
That's the default. So it's just returning to it, which might be easier for people to look at it that way. Oh, I have to return to that. Not I have to go and find it.
Yeah.
Right?
And the more often you do, the more clarity that shows up, the more peace that shows up,
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how you know it. You've got great symptoms. These are good symptoms. Great symptoms or signs that can show you when you're in alignment, right? It's not about being manic, but it's about being able to key in on those and then keep moving like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. That was great.
That's good.
That was great. And listen, we appreciate all of you, and keep coming back at us, and just, keep living from the inside out.